Barsha, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. So you at home right now, or are you
I'm at my internship right now, so
Oh, okay, cool, nice. So yeah, Barsha, tell me, what has it been like being a student during the pandemic? Has there been any like massive challenges or any kind of positives that have come out of it?
yeah. I think just the main challenge with being a student during this pandemic was the whole like work from home situation,
Mm.
especially with like practical courses such as mine. A lot of like fashion courses, and I do tailoring. You won't have all of the equipment at home, so it's just sort of adjusting to that. And of course, I think it was during around like December, January time, it was like complete lockdown for a while. So
Yeah,
just like blended learning because towards the end of the year it was like you could go in 1 day a week for face to face like actual like study, and then you can book in the studios, but prior to that you couldn't book the studios at all. So like adjusting at home and making sure you have all of the equipment to still produce a good level of work, that was kind of like the most difficult part, because certain things such as like mannequins, like sewing machines,
yeah.
like
And space, like, do you even have the space at home?
exactly. I was like passing cussing like on my floor. Like it was just, yeah, it was crazy. But I guess like one good thing was that it kind of showed like independence. So you just learned how to adjust with things, I guess, independently, and move forward from like problems, like, you know, problem solve, work things out. That was one good thing that did come out of it. But yeah, during the time trying to problem solve everything, that was a bit of a struggle.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, well done to you. So tell me about your practice and your final project.
Okay, my degree is in bespoke tailoring. My final project was all based around like femininity and really like embracing the female form and like enhancing it rather than trying to hide it. I think, especially with tailoring, there's not really, you know, it's such like a dominated industry. It was really important for me to focus on like femininity and like, so I guess like sort of enhancing that as a different take on feminism rather than, you know, hiding that, throwing everything like that away. But I also am really interested in like the craft of tailoring still. So I wanted to incorporate elements of like corsetry, find ways to like add boning, you know, make like a corset skirt like hybrid, really crop jackets, you know, crop the sleeves, like sort of modernize tailoring in a way to make more contemporary forms and mix up the shades. So I had like a pink two-piece suit, and then I had like nude colors, and, you know, really I guess, I don't know, just freshen up tailoring and yeah, just overall modernize it. So that's what my project was based on. And I was really also interested in couture because that's sort of the industry that I want to go into afterwards. So I really wanted
Amazing.
my project to highlight that and show the skills in that too.
And was majority of that done from home?
Yeah, actually,
Wow.
a lot of the making was done from home. My tutors did actually compliment me on like how well I adjusted to that, but that to be honest, like the majority of that was because I was able to buy like a mannequin. I bought like a sleeve board. I bought a tailor's ham. I was able to like purchase all of these things to enable me to create a home studio and like adjust to home working, and also with the materials as well, especially with tailoring. There's a lot of extra things like body canvas, chest canvas, demette, collar canvas, like all of these extra things that you can't really cut out because then it doesn't make it bespoke tailoring. So then
Yeah.
you haven't fit the project brief, you haven't, you know, you're not going to pass because you haven't done what it said in the brief. But in order to complete that, you have these lists of items that you have to include in your garments. So,
Yeah, no, that makes sense. You received support from the Student Hardships Fund, and you've kind of spoken a little bit about some of the things that
yeah.
you had to purchase. Like, how much did receiving that funding help you get your project together?
It was like, I don't think I would have been able to produce my garments to such a high quality if I hadn't been able to do that. And I think it does, at the end of the day, it does affect your grading, because if you don't have high quality fabrics, your garments are not going to look good. Like, you're not going to be able to for example, one of the fabrics I used was this pink Venetian wool. To get it into that shade, it was such a struggle to source. So it was like I could only get it from one place almost. And constantly your tutors are giving you feedback like perhaps use this fabric, it would work better, perhaps use these materials, it will sew better, it will look better, it will drape better. But you know, you kind of have to, I guess, have the finances to be able to afford to do all of that. And also with making garments, especially bespoke, especially sew fitted, you have to trial things a lot of times. Like you have to, your first attempt at it won't be your final attempt. You have to remake things, and of course, yeah, all of that adds up, just remaking everything. You know, it's all of these little bits as well, like working from home, you had to buy your own pattern cutting paper, just like small things like that, they all sort of add up. So currently now I'm doing my internship, and in obviously in the industry, normally it's just like expenses that you're paid. So to even be able to afford to do this, I like saved up my money that I got from the hardship fund to be able to sort of still finance myself while I'm doing this, because yeah, you need experience to go out into industry. And like there's, I guess you need experience to be able to get a job, but you can't get experience.
Yeah, it's like the chicken and the egg, like you can't get a job without experience, and you can't get experience without someone giving you.
Exactly. So the only really way to get this kind of experience is through internships in this industry. So like me even being able to do this right now wouldn't have been possible unless, you know, I had the backup funding. Basically, in order to perform well, you have to put in a certain amount of time into your project, into your uni course. I was doing like 16-hour days, like 14-hour days, like back to back. And to be able to do that, you can't necessarily have also like a job which takes up perhaps more than maybe 2 days a week. So alongside my studies, I was doing like art temps, which is another thing that UAL do, which is like temp jobs, and then it's like every once in a while. So I could finance myself through that, but I definitely did need the hardship fund as well as extra, so that I could put in that amount of hours into my course. Because I think, you know, the amount of hours that you put into making really does make such a difference, because you're able to do everything that you want to do, basically. And you can't do that unless you have the time to do it.
Yeah, well, amazing. And it sounds like you've really made both funds stretch, so well done.
Yeah.
Last but not least, so another kind of different and crazy thing that's happened as a result of the pandemic is the fact that you're showcasing your final project online. How does that feel, and like how does that really differ to how you expected to be showcasing your collection?
Yeah, so I guess initially when I applied to this course, I did think that we would have a end of year show, like a physical like runway show, and I was really hoping for a graduation as well, but that's been also cancelled because of
no.
like social. I know, I was so upset. But yeah, so in order to, I guess, make up for the runway show, we're filming one garment each, so it's not quite a full graduates collection. Like I still made 2 outfits, but realistically in a graduates collection you would have 4 outfits, and you would be able to show a whole range of skills and like different like variations in designs, and it would really tie the whole concept together. Whereas now it's being cut down to, they said we had to make a minimum of 1 outfit. And then for, rather than the show, what's happening is Rob Phillips, he has a studio, it's called White Rabbit Studios, and he's like, luckily he's taken care of like all of that. You just have to provide your garment, drop it off, and then it's being filmed into like a short video. Models, makeup, all of that is being sorted by him, creative direction, the video editing, everything's being sorted by him. All we have to do is provide just the 1 garment, which I guess makes it easier for us. Like we don't have to source our own models, we don't have to find makeup artists, hair, like photographers, things like that. He just does it all for us, which has made it so much easier. But at the same time, 1 outfit doesn't show everything. Like
Yeah.
no way can you show all of the hard work that went into it through like a 2-second video, because the clips then get edited into like course, like per course it will be like one video clip, and I'm not too sure how it's being used. I think it's being used on like social media sites and stuff, but yeah, that's sort of the, I guess, the thing that's going to make up for the runway show.
Wow. Well, good luck. I'm sure it's going to be incredible. And I think it's just very like telling of the times, really. I feel like I've never had so much screen time in my life. and it's probably the future of everything now.
Yeah.
But yeah, congratulations. And I wish you loads of success in the future.
Thank you. So what advice could you give to new graduates, and how did you, approach like jobs, and I don't know, like what was your plan, I guess, after you graduated, and what advice would you give for people graduating now?
Yeah, sure. I have to like wind my mind back like 8 years now. But I would say that one of my like biggest lessons when it came to like my graduation was just not really to compare myself to my peers.
Yeah.
I was one of the only people in my course, or one of a few, who wanted to set up their own business. And I found it at first like quite challenging that no one else really wanted to do that, and everyone was kind of focused on getting, graduate roles in like really big organizations, and they were caring about things like salary. And whereas for me, when it came to a graduate role, I wanted something that would give me the skills that would later on help me in developing the skills that I'd need to start my business. And it meant that it took me a bit longer than other people to find the right graduate role for me. And I had a little bit of a different process. But obviously now, like 8 years later, like I run like the business of my dreams, and I think it's ridiculous that I even cared what other people were doing. But I know that like when you're, in an academic setting and everyone's being judged based on your work, it's really easy to kind of look at what other people are doing. But you have to really, stay focused on the path, like you said, that you want to go into couture. So look at other people within the industry. How have they progressed within their careers? What experience did they do? Maybe you can connect with people, ask them questions, build out your network, and really focus on the things that you personally want to do, as opposed to what other people around you are doing.
No, that's really good advice, actually. Yeah, not to compare yourself to people. And then I guess, how has the pandemic changed the ways in which you do things?
So the pandemic at the beginning, I thought, was literally ruining my life. Because even though like I have a business and it is majority online, but there's a lot of in real life stuff that I do to like market my business. And also at the beginning of last year, I was traveling quite a bit. I was planning on doing a lot of in real life pop-ups. And so when the lockdown happened, well, I was first of all trapped in Texas for a while. I had to figure out how to get home. And then once I got home, I think I spent the first month thinking like, well, this is it. I don't know what's going to happen next. But I think it really taught me about, just like thinking on my feet, like you had to do like so many different changes when it came to like how you worked and how you studied and how you created. I had to like change like the plans I had, and I had to actually go through a season where I was like, do you know what? The plan is just to get this business to survive this year and make it out through the other end, and also within myself understand that that is an achievement when you're going through something like the world has gone through over the last year. And I think at the other side of it, it's brought out so many opportunities, and we found ways to like partner with like loads of really cool independent stores all around the world, even just like from the comfort of my home, which is something that I never really saw happening or wasn't anything that was part of my plan. So I think it's just being able to like adjust and not put too much pressure on myself and on my business, and really see how the times and business is evolving, and basically, trying to create a plan that matches with that.
Okay, so to like follow on from that then, what sort of was your inspiration that helped you, you know, during the hard times of this year? And also similarly, when you first graduated and you were like, you know, other people were doing their thing and you were still like on your own path, what sort of inspires you or to still work hard and like carry on doing your own thing?
Yeah, sure. I'd say at the beginning of my career, I was very inspired by what I felt was missing from my industry, and where I felt there was opportunities. Like now, the beauty industry is so different, and there's a lot of like independent players, and online is a massive thing. When I first created my business, that wasn't really the case. There was a few like really cool indie brands from the States, and that really kind of was it. So I was really inspired by the fact that I felt like I was creating something that didn't really exist, especially in the UK. And I was really inspired about, you know, creating something that can last a long time within this like industry that again has been around for hundreds of years. And I think now, as my business has grown and progressed, like I still have that passion about creating something new in the industry, but it centers a lot more around like my customers and my community. Because at the beginning, I was literally just creating for me and my friends and anyone else I could, you know, that would pay attention to me. Whereas now I actually have a community of hundreds of thousands of people who buy from me, who love the products I create and give me feedback and tell me what it is that they want. And I think, again, like with everything that's happened with the pandemic, it's brought communities closer together. And I think it's brought a lot of people who perhaps didn't pay attention to smaller businesses or didn't trust shopping from independent players online, actually really thinking like, where are my products from? Who is creating them? Thinking about the future of the planet. So people care a lot more about sustainability, and are a lot more environmentally conscious. So I feel like it's meant that brands like mine have like a bigger voice and a bigger platform and more attention being paid to us.
No, that's amazing.